I suspect most people thinking about how to be a public speaker, if they are not preachers, and indeed if they're not Christian, might not think about this. But actually, reading your book is a great, you could learn to be a public speaker from doing that.
Yes, the skills are very transferable. Yeah.
And one of the things that I really loved was that you do give this history of how relatively normal people have done public speaking for absolutely hundreds of years.
Yes, that's true. Although I suppose when you look at the history of it, you're always jumping from genius to genius.
Right.
And the geniuses, of course, very often are the ones that don't observe the rules, because that's, like Augustine basically doesn't worry about form, because he's just too good at crafting paragraphs and sentences, and he does it all spontaneously. Right. I mean, I sometimes urge people. I have a little course that I teach. It's called Preaching Like Augustine. And I basically say, look, Augustine's method was he looked at the passage and he figured out what he might say. But he left the how to say to the moment.
Right.
Because he wanted to read the audience.
Right.
And, if it was too hot and people were very distracted, he would shut up after 5 minutes. If they were in the mood, he'd give them an hour and a half. It just depended. And of course, this is Africa. So you do get maybe better signals, than from, the Frozen Chosen in the UK or wherever.
Right.
But that's the skill that he had. And the key thing with him, John Paul, was that I feel like he took us back to a better system of public speaking generally, which is you are what you love. I mean, modern preaching, especially in a more evangelical setting, is you are what you know. So you give them all the information about the passage. Liberal preaching, I would say in some ways slightly better, because they say you are what you feel. So the idea is to deliver an experience, of whatever they're talking about. But Augustine is you are what you love. And the only way you can train love is through delight. So his whole point is when you get up and speak a sermon, for example, you're wanting to delight those people in God so that their loves will run toward God. Right. And for him, there's only two things that go wrong with the human being. Either you love the right thing too much, or you love the wrong thing. Now, I mean, that can work in political rhetoric, because you're always trying to key in to what's a person's deepest desire.